love this guitar so much. Do you hear how it rings? Listen to the overtones. Really hard to find an acoustic that does it like that. All right, looking for an acoustic song, and Matt Carson hits me with Jesse Wells, The Poor. Says, tough for me to pick one of his songs because 90% of them freaking rule, and a lot of them have more interesting chords or picking patterns, because I picked this one because it's proof that simple chords and amazing lyrics go a long way, and this would be a great song to teach beginners. Love it! Ice Cold. Don't know who Jesse is. Matt Carson, thanks for being a member on YouTube.
If you worked a little harder, then you'd have a lot more. So the blame and the shame's on you for being so damn poor. It ain't the price gouging, and it ain't the inflation. It ain't everyone above you trying to make a buck from you in school and the whole congregation. I had that reduced lunch.
Okay, let's talk about the music first, and then we'll get to the lyrics. So he's a little out of tune. I might be a little out of tune, but we are certainly out of tune together, okay? Capo 3rd fret, making an A minor shape, which makes the sound of C minor. And then he's going to an A flat major chord, okay? So this is an F chord shape when your capo's on the 3rd fret. And he's doing a cool thing. He's kind of playing his thumb with the F and then inverting. Some players do this, and I never understood why, but it's comfortable for some people. Instead of leading with your ring finger, he's switching them like this, right? To me, that's just like a non-starter, but if it feels good, it is good. If it sounds good, it is good. You know the drill. And it's just that that kind of move right there. So you can think of it 1 minor, flat 6 major, if you will.
I had the benefit cards. Never occurred to me to blame my family for life being so damn hard. I should have paid attention back when I was in school. Then I could figure up the tax. I would know a lot of facts. I missed the class where they taught the rules. I was memorizing capitals. I was in the spelling bee. I must have skipped the part where they taught the art of private equity. I was selling chocolate bars. I had a disorder. I was cutting up a frog, got lost in the fog, learning how to play recorder.
That's a great line. I could tell, Jesse, I could tell you're proud of that one. That is sick. Let's keep going. All right, yeah. I'll talk about let's see what else he has to say. By the way, this looks very similar to where I live. I live in the mid-Atlantic, like in Maryland, but very rural. And, you know, the cuts through the trees like this, where the power lines go, and the weeds that cut through it, look very much the same.
You only worked a little harder. Worked a little harder. If you worked a little harder. If you worked a little harder, then you'd have a lot more. So the shame and the blame's on you for being so damn poor. It ain't the banks, and it ain't the taxes. It ain't the payday loans and high rent homes and predatory fees and practices. Wave your dumb flag, whatever it means. But you should ask yourself, when it comes to health, are the poor really all that free if you worked a little harder?
I love in the chorus, right, how you start adding in that B flat major, right? So you're firmly in the key here of E flat major. Okay, E flat is 1, B flat is 5, A flat is 4, and then obviously C minor is your 6th chord. So relative major and minor, C minor to E flat. So I love how he's going, and when he goes to the chorus, classic songwriting technique, perfect thing for beginners to think about is I'm in this minor tonality. It's my home bass. But then when I go to the chorus, go to your relative major, brighten it up, and then you can go back to that minor verse.
If you worked a little harder,
See?
if you worked a little harder, you'd have a lot more. So the blame and the shame's on you for being so damn poor, yeah.
All right, perfect song for beginners. Very simple. Again, a little out of tune, but no points deducted. Let's talk about the song. What do I choose to say about the song? I'll tell you what I choose to say about the song. One, I can tell that Jesse comes from the type of, I could tell that that is a true story for him, from where he comes, from where his family is. Everything from how unrefined the tuning of the guitar is to the overgrown weeds. He obviously, went to a place where no one would hear him so that he could belt this out loud, to his hair, to the way he looks, to what he chose to enunciate. That, the little punctuations, like, I got a disorder, right? Like all the little underlined things, I could just tell that this is a real story for him. I've always wondered, there's so many takeaways in this song, but I'm going to choose one just for the sake of length and just because I feel very strongly about it. I've always wondered why and how, in all the things that we're supposed to learn in school, public, private, lower school, college, seemingly nowhere in any of those places, not in any of my experience and from anyone I've ever talked to about this subject, do you talk about the things that you absolutely need to learn to stay out of trouble and to be financially independent and successful. Like, for example, what happens when you get pulled over? What are how does it work when you go to court, right? What are you responsible for if you get in a car accident, or if you borrow money on a credit card? What does it mean to have a 30% interest rate? What is that? How long will it take you if you max it out to pay the minimums, right? What does it mean to go to college and borrow money on a guaranteed loan and not ever be able to declare bankruptcy to get out from under it like you can anything else? What does that mean? What is having good credit? How do you build good credit, and why do you need it to buy things? And what will you be able to buy with it? And what will you not be able to ever buy if you ruin your credit? So many of these basic fundamental things, I feel like are just not talked about at all. It is completely up to the parents to educate their children. And what a missed opportunity it is. And I'm not pointing any fingers as to why all those things are being omitted or who's letting them out. I'm saying just like across the board, I never, ever, ever, ever hear about those things. All of it seems to be on me and my wife and my family to teach my kids how to actually navigate the legal and financial, how do you actually gain independence in this world? It's totally on us as parents. It is not communicated in any educational environment that I'm aware of. Certainly not in the public school system. And even when I went, I went to a lot of schools. Even when I went to college and went back to school to finish my business degree, when I first started Guitargate, which was crazy, none of it was talked about. None of it. Collateral, the concept of collateral. I don't know. I'm rambling here, but he touches on a bunch of things, and a lot of it is from the perspective of some 1,000-yard view looking down, like you should just work harder, but then there's all these little things that take advantage of you, and there's a lot of finger pointing, and there's a lot of blame that's out instead of in, but there's also a lot of truth to what he's saying, which is like, unless someone educates you on what's happening when you borrow money, right? When you, a whole host of things, when you're on government subsidies, what that prevents you from qualifying for other things, and how you're not going to get subsidies if you take some of these other steps towards your own independence, and how they're connected, and how the incentives are inversely related. Stuff's important to think about, important to know, and it's true. There's so many people that get taken advantage of because they just don't know. So it's on you and I as parents. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I love you all. Keep the guitar in your hands. Keep playing guitar. Music is a common connector, and I try to focus on that. Every now and again we go on these tangents. Thanks for allowing this to be a safe and warm place that I can go down these roads every now and again. That's it, my friends. I love you all. Cheers.